One of the worst things about loving the Nintendo Switch is the Nintendo Switch game prices. Because not only are indie games typically more expensive on the Switch than they are on Steam, then you have Nintendo's big first-party titles, which are not only pretty expensive to begin with, but they also seem to basically never go down in price. So all in all, it can be pretty expensive to love this console. So today we're going to be going through the best free games on the Nintendo Switch, so long as you don't get tempted by the cosmetic items, okay? Stay strong. Now, before we go into the free games themselves, there are a few things I just want to remind you about on the Switch itself. First of all, we have the fact that you can go on the Nintendo eShop and search by free demos. And you can find a bunch of games offering some pretty sizable amounts of gameplay. My favorite at the moment is the Princess Peach demo, and the Octopath demo actually winds up being pretty long, so it's definitely worth checking out. But it's also a great way to broaden your gaming horizons. You can try a demo of a game type you wouldn't normally play and see if it's your sort of thing before maybe buying it. But if money's tight, this is definitely a way to entertain yourself. We also have a few honorable mentions before we get into the list. Like, first of all, we have Just Dance, where you can play 2 whole songs for free if you want to. And no, I'm not going to demo this because I can't dance at all. And then we also have It Takes Two, which you can play for free so long as you know someone who has the game. And yeah, you can play online multiplayer for free as well, not just in person. I literally cannot recommend this game enough. It is the best 2-player experience you could ever play on the Nintendo Switch. Not only does it have an incredible story about 2 separated parents coming together to help their kid out, but it also has co-op mechanics that are not only a lot of fun, they're so varied between the different areas that you travel to. It's a one-of-a-kind game and definitely worth giving a go if you know someone who will let you play it with them. Also, if you have a Nintendo Switch Online membership, don't forget that there's a bunch of retro games you can play as well. Now, I'm not normally into retro games, but I did have fun checking out some of the older Zelda titles. But again, if money's tight, this is a great option as there's plenty of games to choose from. Now that's out of the way, let's move on to our list. And first up, we have Deltarune. Now admittedly, this isn't the entire game, but that's not because the entire game isn't free, that's just because the entire game is not out yet. So far, you'll be able to play chapters 1 and 2, which works out to be about 3 hours of content. And if you can't already tell, this is actually a parallel story to the incredible Undertale. And in this, you'll not only get to meet some brand new characters, but you'll also get to meet some of your old favorites as well. And of course, this has the gameplay elements you know and love, filled with combat-free dodging bullets. But weirdly enough, this will actually only have one ending. Now, we know chapters 3 and 4 should be coming at some point, and hopefully some point soon, as it's been a while since chapters 1 and 2 released, and I'm assuming these chapters are going to be free as well. But either way, this is a really solid game to pick up, and if you're not sure if the Undertale series is for you, this might give you a good idea as to whether it's something you're going to love or not. And why not give it a try, considering it's free? Another free game that I absolutely adore and have played the most out of any game on this list is Sky Children of the Light. This is a game I keep on coming back to, as not only is it absolutely beautiful, but the gameplay experience is truly unique, as it's all not only about the journey, but helping others out on theirs too. As this is a genre that's becoming a lot more popular nowadays, and that is a cozy MMO. So that means all the people that you see fly around with me right now are also other players in the game. The game will see you fly around in the search of spirits, and each one that you find shares a little bit about their life story with you. And at first, the fact that there's no mini-map can seem a little bit daunting. Soon you not only come to terms with it, but you wind up loving the joy of mindless exploration. And although it's not always the most straightforward of games, you can actually request a guide, which is a more veteran player of Sky, to show you where some hidden spirits are, or just show you the way. Sky for me also has some of the most memorable events I have ever seen in a game. Like, I don't think any events in any free game I've ever played made me cry the same way the Sky ones do, so it's definitely a game you want to keep on returning back to. I still truly can't believe this is free, and everything that you do buy is just in the form of cosmetics or items or emotes, but there are still plenty you can get for free as well, so this is definitely not a game that I've been tempted to spend money on. But it's definitely something I'd recommend. It doesn't even feel like a free-to-play game. That's how good it is. Next, we of course have Palia. Now this is still in beta, which means it is most definitely a little bit rough around the edges. It has some frame drops here and there, and the graphics on the Switch aren't that great, but I still do love this game to pieces. Now this is described as being a life/farming sim MMO, but right now there's not really that many MMO elements to it. Now you can see the other players running around the world, and you can also group together to get resources. Other than that though, the other players just basically help to make the world feel more alive instead of just you running around and doing stuff, so don't worry if MMOs aren't really your cup of tea. Now this already has all your classic farming and life sim stuff. There's crops, foraging, mining, crafting of furniture, you can cook, make friendships, even romance up to 2 people at a time, and even the addition of bundles as well. Now, despite the fact that this game is most definitely a lot more grindy than normal farming and life sims with its resource management, there is a fantastic story that underpins all of this. And this sees humans randomly return to the land of Palia after being extinct for thousands of years. And gradually, by talking to the different characters and making your way through each of the different temples, you get to figure out what magic has to do with the extinction of the human race. Now, as I said, this game is unfinished, which means it's a little rough around the edges, but the nice part about that is that there's going to be constant updates to the game, which means you constantly have a reason to come back to it. With the latest update bringing new quest lines, yet another temple for you to go and explore, new decoration items, and even the introduction of pathing as well. Now, this is a game where you constantly need to be connected to the internet to play it, but the good news is you don't need an online membership in order to enjoy it. Now, although this game does have microtransactions, they're more like macro transactions because actually they're not that cheap, but all the things that you can buy are literally just outfits for your character. So if you can resist seeing other players running around in them and not buying them, your gameplay won't be affected whatsoever. And there are clothing options for free as well. Another fantastic free-to-play game that has recently just come out is Fortnite Lego. Because I still stand by the fact that Fortnite is just not for me. But this mode most definitely is. Because Fortnite Lego has nothing to do with the classic mode of Fortnite at all. It's not a battle royale, there's no shooting each other. It's just you and maybe a few friends in the wilderness, crafting, building, and surviving in a gameplay style that's similar to Minecraft. And all you need to do in this gameplay mode is start building a village from scratch and have villagers move into it. Now, although there is hunger, stamina, enemies, and the cold that can all affect you, you can also customize each of your game modes and decide exactly which challenges you want to take on. Now, at the moment, compared to Minecraft, this is a very stripped back version of the game, although they are constantly updating it. Like recently, they just introduced fishing to the gameplay mode, but literally a few days ago, we got a pretty massive announcement for the Fortnite Lego. And that was the ability for people to make custom maps. And although this doesn't sound too cool at first, it has introduced modes like Prop Hunt and also this Cat Island adventure as well. If you haven't heard of Prop Hunt before, this is effectively a really funny version of hide and seek. So there's 2 teams, the hiders and the seekers, but the big twist is the hiders can transform into inanimate objects, meaning that the seekers can't trust any object they see, and the hiders need to just try and blend in as best they can. The Cat Island adventure mode also looks just absolutely adorable, where it's just an island filled with cats going about their life, which you can go and explore and pet as well. But it's also going to be really interesting to see what other worlds pop up. I love the fact that anyone can make these maps in Unreal Engine, so we might wind up having more incredible modes. So all in all, this is something you most definitely need to check into every now and again. I'm really excited to see what is done with it, and I think this mode could be fantastic if Fortnite keep developing it. Next up, we have Fall Guys. Now, I may not be a very good Fall Guys player, but I do absolutely love Fall Guys, and I think this is such a fun game to play, especially with friends. This is also cross-platform as well, so you can play with friends no matter what consoles they're on. This is effectively an obstacle course where each round players get eliminated until there's just a single winner. Each season they introduce different themes and challenges, and the maps change around as well to keep things interesting. And although it's not quite as popular as it used to be, they seem to always do massive collabs with big brands, so it could be a lot of fun to get through each of the seasons. And if you're just looking for a good time, this is a great game to pick up, even if you're not that good at it. Another competitive free-to-play game is Omega Strikers. This is a 3v3 foot brawler, and whilst it's easy to pick up, it's most definitely not easy to master. As proven by me, who completely sucks at it, but I still have a great time regardless. Again, this is cross-platform and cross-progression, and like all the previous games, this also has seasons to keep the game fresh, adding new players, new stages, and new unlockables as well. Onto a different style of game now, and this is Disney Speedstorm. Now, before we get into this, I will give word of warning. I think this is probably some of the heaviest microtransactions on the list, and definitely one of the types of games that seems to hinder you more by not spending money, but it's still fun to pick up every now and again, and if you can resist the urge to spend money, I think you'll still have a pretty good time. This is a great game if you're looking for similar vibes to Mario Kart, but there's a bit more focus on seasonal events to keep you invested for longer. One thing I do enjoy about this is it sort of has a single player campaign running alongside of it, so you don't just have to play online. But like Mario Kart, this will see you race with up to 7 other people. These can either be real life people or just CPUs. And you'll be able to use items to either advantage yourself or disadvantage others. But the big twist is what character you pick will determine which of the items and unique features you get to use. Another unique aspect they added is the fact that you can level your characters up. And doing this will unlock different items that the character can use and new skills as well. And although you can level up your characters while playing free to play, it is of course significantly easier if you are willing to drop some money. One thing I do really enjoy about this compared to Mario Kart though is the fact that there are daily and seasonal challenges, so I feel like there was more of a reason to log into this every single day, whereas Mario Kart I just pick up every now and again. And whilst it is microtransaction heavy, if you are looking to fill that void by not owning Mario Kart, this could be a great alternative, and again it's cross-platform as well. Another very competitive game you could pick up is Tetris 99, but this is only if you have a Nintendo Online membership. Now this is a battle royale version of Tetris, where in this, basically you play Tetris like normal, only every single time you clear a row, that gets sent on to another player. And as soon as you lose the game of Tetris, you are out of the battle royale. Now, I will give word of warning, people who play this are ridiculously good, so if it's your first time giving this a go, expect to be terrible, but this can be a lot of fun if you don't mind going up against some of the world's best Tetris players. Then we have F-Zero 99, which you guessed it, this is a battle royale in F-Zero, and you'll be racing on all the classic F-Zero maps just against 98 other people. And this was so much harder than I remember it being. I really struggled. Much like with the Tetris game, you need a Nintendo Online membership in order to play this, but it is a fun game to pick up every now and again. Then we have Pokemon Cafe Mix. Now this is definitely the most mobile gamey game on this entire list, but it is also adorable. So let's talk about it. As in this, you get to run your very own Pokemon Cafe, which, side note, can we please have more Pokemon spin-off games? And I don't mean remakes of previous spin-offs, like give me a proper game that is you running a Pokemon Cafe, or give me a game where you run a Pokemon daycare, like a life sim or management style Pokemon game. I would eat that up. But anyway, in this, you run your very own cafe where you serve drinks to Pokemon customers by carrying out this little mini-game that sees you connect Pokemon of the same type together. And although it starts off simple, it most definitely gets a lot more complicated, as it not only adds more Pokemon into the mix, but also some obstacles in the form of items as well that you do need to get rid of in certain ways. And this sort of puzzle game is kind of similar in vibes to something like Candy Crush. Now, after you've served a customer enough times, you can recruit them to come and work in your cafe. And this in turn will unlock more recipes, allowing you to upgrade the cafe further, and in turn means even more Pokemon and different types of Pokemon will visit your cafe. As I said, this feels a bit mobile phone gamey, and that is because it is a mobile phone game, so it does lean a little bit heavier into the microtransactions, but if you can resist, it is a lot of fun. Our final game on today's list is Pokemon Quest. Again, very similar vibes to Pokemon Cafe in that it's a little bit mobile gamey and pretty heavy on the microtransactions, but it's fun in a very different way. This will see you send Pokemon teams on expeditions, where they run off, gather items for you, and defeat bigger and more powerful Pokemon together. But to me, expeditions weren't the main part of the game, as you can actually leave all the Pokemon on autopilot to carry out these by themselves. The real skill was in making, leveling up, and curating your team. Because not only do you have to decide which Pokemon to pick for each of the expeditions, you're also able to give them different Power Stones. You're also able to give them different Power Stones that have effects on them. But between expeditions, you'll also be able to cook meals, and this will give you the chance to attract more powerful or different types of Pokemon to come and join your team. And much like Pokemon Go, if you've played that before, if you have a Pokemon you no longer need, you can dispose of the ones you don't want to get items to strengthen the Pokemon you do want. It's a little messed up, but that's Pokemon for you. Now again, it is possible to play this as a free-to-play player. It will be helped along if you do spend some money though, so just bear that in mind. But it is a fun game to log into every now and again. That's it for the best free games you can play on the Nintendo Switch right now in 2024. And if you want to see some underrated cozy games, click this video here.